Welcome back to Salt of the Earth. My name is Roxy Canales, and I'm a teenage Christian author. I am so excited to start a brand new series today, and it is going to be all about who is God. And I'm so excited to talk about this topic because I believe that it is so important for our identities. If we want to know who we are, how we fit in the world, what is our purpose, why are we even here, then we need to know who God is. If we struggle with anxiety or depression or isolation or any other mental or even physical ailments that we may have, we need to know who God is in order to be able to conquer those issues and work through those issues. And I believe that knowing who God is so important just in relationships, how we relate to other people, how we treat other people, how we love other people, how we behave around other people. So, truly, every aspect of our lives is dependent upon who we think God is. And obviously, culture's gonna throw stuff at you about God that is not true. Maybe even people around you or your relatives or your friends are gonna throw things at you and tell you that God is a certain way when He is not. And we know that God is a certain way because of the Bible and because of His Word. So, in this series, we're gonna be talking about who God is, and it's going to be biblically grounded. And it's going to touch on verses that show God's attributes and show God's character rather than relying on culture or even a teacher or a friend or a relative. So I'm so excited. And today, before I get into any attributes, any characteristics about God, I want to touch on God's name. Now, if you've been in the Christian community for a little bit, you probably know that God has a ton of different names. If you haven't been in the Christian community for long, or just haven't had that discussion or been in that sphere of conversation, then I do want you to know that God does have many different names that He goes by. That doesn't mean that there are multiple different gods. It just means that there's one God and He goes by several names. Think of it like nicknames. You have one name, but many people may call you totally different things. And that doesn't mean you're a different person. It just means that you're called by a different name because that person relates to you in that certain way. So, brand new to the Christian community, or just haven't had that conversation or been in that discussion topic, and if that's you, that is perfectly fine. And that's why I'm talking today, because I want to educate you on what this whole thing means about God's specific name. Now, again, God has multiple different names. He has been called by multiple different names throughout the Bible. But I'm going to touch on one specific name today that I'm so excited to talk about, and it is actually God's covenant name, aka His personal name, that He introduced to Moses, the prophet Moses, back in the beginning of Exodus that I'm talking about, is Yahweh. And Yahweh, the name Yahweh, is composed of four Hebrew letters, and the technical spelling for it is YHWH. So you just nix the vowels and just go ahead with the consonants. So no one actually knows how to pronounce God's official covenant personal name that He has, which is, I believe, an intentional decision, obviously from God, and that there's a reverence and there's a respect that we should carry for this name of God that is Yahweh. And it means, in essence, it means I am who I am. Now, if you're an English speaker or a speaker of any language whatsoever, that sentence probably sounds really strange to you. And when I first heard it, it sounded really strange to me too, because I am who I am. Technically, I guess you could say it makes sense, but that's typically not a sentence that we're just going to throw together and be okay with. I edit books. I enjoy editing. I've edited a lot of books. And if I have a sentence that is structured in that way, I'm a little suspicious of it. And let alone that being a name. So that's one that grabs your attention right away, is like, whoa, that's a different way to call yourself. I am who I am? What is that supposed to mean? How do I interpret that? What do I do with that? How do I even process that? I don't even know where to begin. And that's what this video is going to be about. So let's get into the heart of what it means when God says that He is I am who I am. If you were to pose to me the question, who is God? The broadest answer that I could possibly give you would be that God is Yahweh. Now, why would I say that that is the broadest answer? Well, I mentioned that the name Yahweh means I am who I am. And that is a very broad way of thinking about God because God has many different names that are very specific. There is Jehovah Rapha, there is Jehovah Shalom, there is Adonai Elroy, that means the God who sees me. There's all these specific names for God that we know of, and they all point to a specific characteristic or a specific attribute that he has. But the name Yahweh is simply, I am who I am. It seems very open ended. It's just, I am, and who I am is who I am. It seems kind of broad and a little confusing, but one way that I learned to think about it is that Yahweh is saying, I am everything you need. So, if the thoughts of anxiety are pulling on you and bugging you every second of the day and it's weighing you down, then you can turn to the God of peace. God says to you, I am your peace. Are you struggling with feeling like you're worthy? Are you struggling with your identity? Are you struggling with perfectionism? And are you struggling with what other people have said about you? If you're struggling with that, then you need to remember that God says to you, I am your unconditional love. I can give you unconditional love. You don't have to listen to what other people say. You don't have to depend on your own works. You don't have to do anything because I unconditionally love you already. I am unconditional, everlasting love for you. Did your family abandon you? God says to you, I am your family. Did your father leave you when you were young? Did he abandon your family? And did he basically turn his back on you and say, I don't want you and I don't care enough to be in your life? Then God says to you, I am your heavenly Father. What you're lacking here on earth, what you're missing, what you don't have, I can be that for you. And in fact, I can take it to a next level and I can be so much more than that. I can be that perfect version. I can be the perfect father that you don't have. And I can be the unconditional love that people around you simply can't give you. I am the source of your identity. You have to believe, you have to accept him and accept the words that he says about you, but he is your identity. Yahweh also says to you, do you need a friend? Are you craving friendship? Are you craving community? Are you craving someone that can understand you and be with you and just sit and listen and talk with you? I am, Yahweh saying, I am your friend. I am that perfect friend that you've been longing for because you're never going to find it in a person. People are great, friends are great, but you're never going to have that perfect friend that's going to show up for you every time, and Yahweh will. Do you need someone who can keep their word and keep their promises because everyone around you for years and years and years has never kept their word and has betrayed you? Yahweh says to you, I am faithful. Do you need someone who can keep their promises? I am a promise keeper. I will keep my word. Do you need someone who is going to actually encourage you? Because maybe all your life people have beaten you down, ridiculed you. Do you need someone who can lift you up? Yahweh says, I am your encourager. I am the one that encourages you. And I am the one that believes in you when no one else in the world does. And if Yahweh believes in you, then you don't need anyone else to believe in you because all that matters is his opinion about you and not someone else's. Maybe you went through a family tragedy. Maybe you lost someone that was very close to you. Do you need someone to just sit and grieve with? Do you need someone to just sit and talk with about that person's life, about your pain, about your loss? Yahweh says to you, I am your comfort. I am your perfect listener. I am the good counselor. I'm the wonderful counselor. I am the Prince of Peace. Do you need purpose? Do you need direction? Then Yahweh says, I am the one that plans your life. I am the one that will direct you in the way of righteousness. And Yahweh says, I am the one that will lead you. Yahweh, again, is everything you could need. Fill in any situation you want, fill in anything at all, and Yahweh is the answer. Yahweh is everything you could possibly need. Fill in any mental health issue, you're struggling with anxiety, Yahweh is your peace. You're struggling to overcome that cloud of depression and darkness that is caving in on you and suffocating your mind. Yahweh is your hope. Yahweh can provide hope for you. Yahweh will see you to the other side. Are you struggling with isolation, with any other mental health issue you could possibly have? Yahweh is saying to you, I am here for you. I am your healer. I am the bondage breaker. I am the one that demolishes mental strongholds. I am the mighty warrior that you need in your life to overcome this addiction, to overcome this issue, whatever it may be. Yahweh says to you, I am the one that overcomes strongholds, and I am the victor, and any battle I fight, I win. God is our champion. Yahweh is our champion. So, like I said, Yahweh is everything that you need. And I found this out one night when I was really struggling with perfectionism, and I was just having just one of those days. It was not good. I was struggling with guilt. I was struggling with shame. I was struggling with anxiety. I was struggling with perfectionism. Basically, all my issues converged in one day. So I went to Yahweh and I said, Lord, I really need your help. I feel like I will never be good enough for anyone. I feel like I'm not worthy. I feel like I shouldn't even be talking to you right now. And I'm I feel like I can't do anything right. I feel just so stained and dirty and unworthy to even be around you and to be talking here, and I don't know what to do, Lord. And I feel like no matter what I do, I still end up feeling like I need to strive for more and do more in order to win the acceptance of Yahweh and to win the acceptance of people. And I know we're not supposed to win the acceptance of people. And that's something I'm still working on because it's very hard to overcome that anxiety. And I'm still a work in progress and I'm still working on that, especially that night. So I go to Yahweh and I just lay out all the broken pieces, all the things that I'm struggling with, all the issues, and just so many things that have been building up in me, especially related to perfectionism and feeling like I have to work in order to win love, approval, and things like that. And the Lord met me in that place. In that place where I was really struggling to even feel like I was winning the acceptance of God. I said, God, I feel like I cannot please you myself enough. I feel like I'll never be good enough. And I feel like no matter what I do or what I work at, it's just I'm not gonna win that love from you and that acceptance from you that I crave. And again, we may know in our minds, like, of course, we have the acceptance and love of God, and of course, that's completely unreasonable. But I feel like it's harder to transition the knowledge from our minds into our hearts. And I said, Lord, I just want to feel like without my works, it'll be okay. And I'll still be lovable and worthy and appreciated. And the Lord met me there. And He said, I am unconditional love. I am everything that you need. And that rocked my world because I had never heard of it like that. I'd never heard of his name being used like that. And in the Bible, when it says that God passed before people and he proclaimed his name, one of those such instances was with Moses a lot in Exodus. He did that. And in the whole Mount Sinai situations, he said that it said that the Lord would pass in front of people and proclaim his name. And I'd never understood that. What does he mean by proclaiming his name? Like, what's the big deal about just proclaiming a name? Well, that night, I feel like I finally understood more of that situation, because when God came to me and he proclaimed his name, I am everything you're seeking. I'm everything you need. I am willing to accept you, regardless of your works, regardless of what you do. No legalism needed. No special incantation or ritual or thing you have to do. That is not the life that we're called to live. And that became very clear to me that night when God said, I am unconditional love. So, obviously, that is a quick recap on the covenant personal name of God that he gave and made known to Moses in the burning bush in the book of Exodus in the Bible. So that is the name of Yahweh. I hope that this video has enlightened you on who Yahweh is and his characteristics and some of his attributes, because we don't have to talk about a specific attribute of God in order to know him. We can simply look at what he calls himself and learn so much from that, because the Bible is so rich and has so much information, and Yahweh's name alone has so much information about who he is and how we relate to him. Yahweh is truly everything we could ever need, and it is in him that we are sufficient. So, you may be asking the question today, who is God? God is Yahweh. God is everything you could ever need. You name the situation, he is the answer. He is the one that will guide you through it, see you through it, give you peace, hope, joy, love, and courage to face it. So I'm so excited to delve deeper into this series of who God is. Hopefully I can correct maybe some misconceptions that you've had, and hopefully I can encourage you and help you learn more about God through the series. So, that being said, I would encourage you all to stay tuned and stay salty.